So the basic cause of condensation in a vehicle is warm humid air hitting a cold surface. So you've got the warm humid air inside the cabin, which might come from your breath or from general heat inside the vehicle. The glass is cold, the warm air hits the cold surface, it condenses, creates water, and you end up with condensation. The cause of it can be a number of things. It can be wet clothing, wet people, wet pets. It could be a leak. There's a few things it could be, and we'll cover those in just a moment. And I'm also going to cover what you can do to help prevent this problem from reoccurring and get on top of it, because it can be really annoying, and sometimes you can spend ages having to demist the car before you can drive off in the morning or in the evening. So we're going to go through a few of those things now, so let's get on with that. So as I've already said, wet clothing, etc. inside the cabin, not good. There's also a few other things you can consider as well. For example, hot, steamy beverages. So you get coffee regularly, so you get a coffee every day on your way to work from a drive-through or whatever. You drink most of that coffee, but you leave that in the car. That water, that liquid, that's going to cause more of a problem with condensation, especially as the steam is coming out of that cup and it goes onto the cool surfaces of the vehicle, the glass, maybe the metal that you can't see underneath the hood lining, etc. That's causing condensation. So that's one to watch out for. Leaks are an obvious thing to look at. Sunroof leaks. Sunroofs aren't that common in vehicles anymore, but you can get leaks around door seals. So check for any damage on door seals. If you've got a door seal that's perished or got a chunk taken out of it, you might need to have a look at having that repaired. Equally, make sure that there's no leaks coming through any vent holes under the bonnet or any drain holes, and that they're all clear of leaves and debris, because with some vehicles, if water goes into one of those drain holes and it's blocked up, that water backs up and it can sometimes spill over the firewall or the bulkhead into the cabin, and that can cause condensation problems in some older vehicles. Equally, check the boot as well, make sure there's no obvious leaks there. Water leaks are really, really hard to find on cars, because water will always find the easiest level, the lowest level. You might think that the water leaks over here, but actually it's starting over there and it's travelling down. Very, very hard to find. Another one to look out for as well are issues with the heater matrix, which is like a small radiator inside the cabin that coolant and water comes through. The blower blows air through that radiator to heat up the air inside the cabin. If they corrode, or they start to leak, or the pipes start to leak that fix onto the heater matrix, that can result in coolant dripping inside the vehicle. You might not necessarily see it, can be really hard to find, but you're going to have this constant problem with condensation. So if your water level is going down, your coolant level is going down, and the carpets feel wet all the time, even in the summer, that might be a sign the heater matrix is leaking. So have a look out for that one there. So you've got this problem with condensation. How do you get rid of it? Well, basically you've got to get that moisture and water out of the cabin, and there's a few ways you can do that. If your vehicle's got air conditioning, use it in the winter. People are really reluctant when it's cold to use their air conditioning because they think it's pointless, but actually it's not. Air conditioning takes moisture out of the air inside the cabin of the vehicle. If you, in the summer, have noticed sometimes underneath your vehicle you get a patch of water, that's water being taken out of the air by the air conditioning system, and it will do the same thing with damp air in the winter as well. And you'll find that your car will defrost and the windscreen will demist a lot quicker if you use the air conditioning just to get through that condensation stage. Obviously, blasting the windscreen with cold air, air conditioning air, when there's snow and ice on the outside isn't going to clear that problem up, but it will help to get rid of condensation. So make sure you use your air conditioning, and make sure the recirculation valve is off. If you use that and keep it on in the winter, you're just keeping the moisture inside the cabin, you're not allowing fresh air in, and you're going to have more problems. And there's actually a link to another video of mine in the description below that explains about the recirc valve and what it should and shouldn't be used for. If your car's really damp, get in it, start it up, put the vent on to start clearing the windscreen, get back out again. The air coming out of your mouth comes out about 30 to 32 degrees, and it's full of moisture. If you're in a cold car and there's a cold windscreen in front of you and you're breathing your warm, humid breath onto that screen, all that's happening is that breath is hitting the windscreen, it's cooling down straight away, and it's creating more condensation, and you're just adding to the problem. So if you want to get that screen cleared quickly, get out of the vehicle, let it do its thing, and get back in again. This sounds like an obvious one, but open the windows. Now, if you've got a nice autumn, spring, winter day where the sun is shining, it's dry, it's not wet and damp, it's a nice clear day, crack the windows open just a little bit all the way around the car and park the car somewhere sunny where there's no shadows, where the sun can get onto it all day if you can, and that will help to heat up the air in the cabin, and having the windows open will allow fresh air to come across and take some of that humid, damp air away from the vehicle. So you're just airing the vehicle like you would do perhaps, you know, a home or something like that. Same applies for your car, so try that one out as well. Clean glass is really important. If the glass inside the vehicle is dirty, it's going to allow things to stick to it, grease and water. So make sure you clean the glass and have very clean windows inside, and you'll notice less condensation on the glass when you have clean glass on the vehicle. This one is often overlooked. Take rubbish out of the car. If you've got food items, wrappers, any food wrappers, drinks bottles, apple cores, banana skins, any of that stuff in your car, you are adding to the problem of condensation. So clean out your vehicle, get rid of all the rubbish and the crap, because anything you leave in there you don't need is just going to be adding to that problem. Another one to watch out for is a leaking washer jet pipe. Some vehicles have a washer jet pipe that runs inside the cabin from underneath the bonnet or the hood, and it runs inside the vehicle along to the back so that you can spray water on the rear windscreen to clean it. Unfortunately, in some vehicles it's a really poor design where those pipes will split or break, crack, come disconnected, whichever, and every time you press that button, the water isn't spraying on your windscreen, but it's actually spraying inside your vehicle, hidden behind a dashboard or a carpet somewhere, and you won't have a clue where it's going, but you're just adding to that condensation problem again. Many vehicles have got vents hidden in different places around the body, quite often behind bumpers, and those vents are designed for two things. One is to allow air pressure in and out of the vehicle when doors are open and closed. Otherwise, if you slam the door and there's nowhere for the air pressure to be released from, it's going to hurt people's ears. So the little vents, hidden vents, help the air pressure in and out. But they also help to dry out the vehicle as well. If those vents are blocked up with rubbish, leaves, if your car's really dirty, that sort of thing, you're not going to get enough airflow coming through to help to get rid of that damp air. So again, it comes down to keeping the vehicle clean, well maintained, and just making sure that if there are vents you can get to, that they're clear and unobstructed. And finally, a controversial one. Don't use car covers. Now, I've seen people that have got classic cars and they put these car covers over them to try and protect them. Now, they might be protecting them from the dirt, but what they're doing is they're allowing moisture to sit in between the car cover and the body. If you are going to use a car cover, use a good quality breathable car cover. If you're going to just buy a cheap one, it's like throwing a tarpaulin over the vehicle. It's going to do it no good at all. You're going to be trapping moisture and condensation in between the vehicle and that cover, and you're just building up to the problem and making it worse and worse. So unless you're buying a real good quality car cover, I highly recommend you don't use them. One thing you definitely don't want to do is use the anti-fogging sprays or liquids you can buy online like Amazon and eBay, where these companies claim that by putting a film of, say, Rain X or something like that on the screen, it helps to get rid of the condensation faster. It doesn't. I've tried them, they don't work. All they do is give you a horrible smear across the windscreen and things stick to it, and it takes ages to get it off. So avoid those products. Better still, stick to what I've told you earlier on. Good ways of keeping the car clean, keeping the glass clean, getting rid of rubbish, and making sure you use your air conditioning properly, and that should help you get over your condensation problems. Hope you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful. As always, please do hit the like button below if you found it helpful, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.